I had no teachers in the late 60s. In fact, there was no bone carving being done in New Zealand at that time. So everything I made, which was of course influenced by Maori history and design concepts, I found I was able to sell. And fairly quickly I was invited to exhibit in a Wellington gallery. And much to my amazement, my very rough work in those days sold outright. And my mother was always encouraging me in any interests whatsoever. And one of those interests was archaeology. So at the age of 14, I got onto an excavation at the Wairau Bar site in Marlborough, which was under the Canterbury Museum, Dr. Roger Duff. And through archaeology, that developed into the carving and my continuing life interest in particularly stone artifacts and early cultures. Right, now here are some of the Paleolithic and Neolithic bone carving tools which I've collected in Denmark in this case. So my modern steel tool works with these two flint tools, or derives from these two flint tools, which are basic domestic flakes. This is an example struck off a core of flint. Once you have that flake, you then take off a counter flake, a secondary chip, here and here, and this gives you a left directional scraper and a right directional scraper, which is exactly the same as what this tool does here. Then this one, the point has been pressure flaked back to give a finer point for engraving. And this is your Swiss Army knife from the Paleolithic period. You have a drilling point, quite used in this case for boring into bone or wood. You have a curved platform here has been pressure flaked back so you can scrape out bowls or spoons, for instance out of deer antler. And then this notch here, which is very deliberately put in, used for scraping perhaps bow and fishhook points or spear points. So my research turned more to the living culture and finding Maori who could give me more background to the artifacts that I'd spent so many years digging up. Most of my work is drawn out first. So I'm drawing to scale. Here's a taniwha in a eel form. We don't quite know what taniwha look like. Here's some more possibilities. Manaya heads in a koru form. An idea. So I often start off the top of the page or in the corner here and then work down, leaving space to do more drawings. So here's some necklace ideas, started off from pendants. So I've just photocopied these and stuck them into my book as reference. Totally different idea, whale tail and starfish, small pendants. So I'm drawing to scale and then often doing rough outs in the deer antler, which is a cheap, easy to obtain material, but a good material, before I move on to the more precious materials like whale ivory and other ivories. Initially I rough out with a flexi shaft with various steel burrs, but that is purely only for roughing out to about this stage. So you're working like this and doing the deep cuts, the roughing out cuts. In this case a piece of whalebone and a piece of cow bone. From this stage on it's all hand tooling. Again, just handheld, so you're both pushing with the point to make your cuts and then you're scraping with the side of the tool. You can use either side. So all of my work, the thing that you finish up with, that you touch and can feel, is hand carved with this chisel or graver or burin. So it's one hand holding and the other hand holding the tool, and you can feel how much pressure you're putting in. So my number one tool, then there's a miniature of that. Then I have some various thinner, finer tools. And so it goes on. And when the tool can't do the job, then you make another tool. So I then work with a sample of these other tools. So I work with perhaps 40 or 50 different tools. I guess the next hurdle after I'd got involved in carving was developing the market for my work. And a lot of that was education of the public in New Zealand at that time. Nobody had really seen what you might say commercial bone carving for sale. There was a little bit of jade carving in New Zealand being done at that time in the shops, but no bone carving. So with every exhibition and later on with workshops that I gave in carving, I had to educate my public. Well, it started off as a bamboo shoot, which has all sorts of symbolization in Asia. Birth, growth, long life, all of that. This is made both as a netsuke, so you've got the double hole here in the center, but also as a pendant, so you have a hole through the top, so it can be worn as a European style pendant or as a Japanese style netsuke. A feather bird, and before that I just made feathers. So the feather, which comes from a bird, is turned into a feather bird. As such, it means that every piece that I carve is a progression, so therefore a learning improvement, learning curve from the last piece. And sometimes they work out well and I'm happy. Other times I think, yes, well, I'll make another one and maybe that'll be even better. For me personally, life wouldn't be possible in my artistic career without having a passion for what I do. Now, one of my sources of passion is the interest I have in old things. So, for instance, this pre-European Maori adze, it's actually moa hunter or archaic adze, and it's made of argillite stone, which is metamorphosed mudstone. And you might say, well, what's the connection between this old thing and what I do in bone and jade carving today? Well, actually quite a lot. It's a tool that's used for wood carving in this particular case, and my tools are miniaturized versions of this for working bone. But it's much more than that. You have the whole history. You have the man who made this. Now, he didn't just grab a piece of stone, flake it out and grind it, polish it. He had to go to the right quarry to find the right stone. So the argillite quarries are mainly in the Nelson Derville Island area of the South Island. And so he had to knock out a piece of stone, rough it out, bring it back to his working place, which might be anywhere in the country, and finish the shaping. So I'm asking, what was this man thinking? He wanted a stone adze of the right stone to do the right job, in this case wood carving. So what was he carving? What was he using it for? So the point of what I'm getting at is I want to know every aspect of the tool that I'm using, where that tool form came from, and where it's going.